So exercise 5.2, by now hopefully you have filled in the unadjusted trial balance portion of the worksheet. The accounts listed down the side. One of the things you want to make sure of that you get the business name on this. This is Web or something. And while we'd like to know the reporting period covered, you'll notice that in this question they don't tell you. But normally on a worksheet we want to know whose worksheet it is. We'd like to know that it's a worksheet, and we'd like to know what period it covers. This question kind of lets that go, but in the future most questions you'll see will actually have that information. Okay, so back to our question. If you have the numbers in the proper columns, one of the things you should do at this point is actually take a total. So we'll total up all the debits, total up all the credits, and if you've done this correctly, our totals should agree, and they should both be $113,150. If they're not $113,150, pause the video, double check, make sure you've got everything in the right column. If you're out by, say, $2,600, it may be, for instance, that you have unearned fees of $1,300 in the debit column rather than the credit column. That would create a $2,600 error, being twice the actual number. Textbook talks about the kinds of errors you might see, and how to spot them. So, assuming that you've got everything all totaled up and it all agrees, then the next step, of course, is to transfer those numbers into the proper columns. And I will tell you, you have to be really careful with this because it's very easy to get things in the wrong column, and a debit becomes a credit, or an income statement item becomes a balance sheet thing, and that's just going to mess you up big time. So, let's take it from the top. The very first account is cash. Cash is a balance sheet item. It has a debit balance, so we need to carry it over to the debit column of the balance sheet and statement of equity columns. So we'll just put that $3,000 in the debit column there. Accounts receivable, also an asset, debit balance of $13,100, so we'll just move it out to $13,100 out in the balance sheet column. And we can continue all that. I'm just going to jump ahead and do a few, but then you can do the rest of them. For instance, Bo Weber Capital currently has a credit balance of $37,750. And where does that one go? Bo Weber Capital goes on the balance sheet and statement of equity. So we put it in the credit columns of the balance sheet and statement of equity on the worksheet. And then we get into, plumbing fees earned, $49,000. Now fees earned, that's a revenue. So revenues go on the income statement. It has a $49,000 credit balance, so we put $49,000 in the credit column of the income statement columns. What comes next are expenses. We have depreciation expense for trucks. That's an expense. It goes on the income statement and has a debit balance, so we'll put it there. All right, carry on. I'll catch up with you in a minute and finish putting things in the rest of the columns, and we'll double check the work from there.